The arrival of the Zephyrian Armada. Admiral Sarah Chen stood before the massive holographic display in Earth's Unified Defense Command Center, her coffee growing cold as she stared at the impossible sight before her. 9,900 vessels, each the size of a city block, materialized out of hyperspace at the edge of the solar system. The coffee cup slipped from her fingers, shattering on the pristine floor. "How long until they reach Earth?" she asked, her voice steady despite the magnitude of what she was witnessing. Captain Marcus Rivera consulted his tactical display, his dark eyes reflecting the glow of incoming data streams. "At current velocity, approximately 72 hours, Admiral. They're moving in formation, taking their time." Sarah nodded grimly. The year 2157 had been supposed to mark humanity's 200th anniversary of peaceful coexistence. Wars had become a distant memory, replaced by cooperation, scientific advancement, and exploration. Earth had unified under a single government dedicated to preservation and progress. Their small defense fleet existed mainly for asteroid deflection and search and rescue operations. "Have we attempted communication?" Sarah asked. Ambassador Kaya Okafor stepped forward, her diplomatic robes rustling softly. "We've broadcast on all known frequencies, Admiral. Standard first contact protocols, messages of peace in mathematics, music, even basic pictographs. They responded 30 minutes ago." The main screen shifted to display the alien message. The creature that appeared was tall and angular, with crystalline blue skin that seemed to pulse with inner light. Its eyes were multiple-faceted gems, and when it spoke, its voice carried the cold certainty of absolute authority. "I am Warlord Thys of the Zephyrian Empire. Your species has been selected for incorporation into our domain. You have 72 of your planetary rotations to surrender unconditionally. Failure to comply will result in complete planetary sterilization. This communication ends now." The bridge fell silent. Sarah felt the weight of 8 billion lives pressing down on her shoulders. Earth's defense fleet consisted of barely 300 ships, designed for peacekeeping and exploration, not warfare. The approaching armada outnumbered them 33-1. "Options?" Sarah asked her command staff. Colonel Elena Vasquez, Earth's chief military strategist, pulled up tactical assessments. "Our ships are faster and more maneuverable, but their firepower advantage is overwhelming. In a direct confrontation, we'd last perhaps 30 minutes. "What about evacuation?" someone suggested. Ambassador Okafor shook her head. "With our current transport capacity, we might save 10,000 people. 8 billion would remain." Sarah closed her eyes, thinking of her daughter attending university on Luna, her elderly parents tending their garden in New Zealand. When she opened them again, her jaw was set with determination. "Then we fight. Not because we can win, but because we must." Over the next 24 hours, Earth transformed. The planet's manufacturing capabilities, designed for creating art, medicine, and exploration vehicles, retooled for war. Orbital shipyards that had been building colony ships began producing defensive platforms. Mining operations on asteroids were converted into weapons factories. But it was the people that truly amazed Sarah. Across every continent, volunteers flooded recruitment centers. Scientists abandoned their laboratories to work on defensive technologies. Artists created propaganda that inspired rather than deceived. Children wrote letters to soldiers they'd never meet, and grandparents shared stories of humanity's ancient struggles. Dr. James Park, Earth's leading physicist, burst into the command center 36 hours before the deadline. "Admiral, we've had a breakthrough. The aliens' energy signatures suggest they use quantum tunneling for their shields. We can't match their defensive capabilities, but we might be able to neutralize them." "How?" Sarah asked. "Quantum resonance torpedoes. If we can sync our weapons to their shield frequency, we could create cascading failures throughout their fleet. The problem is, we need to get close enough to scan their exact quantum signature. And that means sacrifice." Sarah finished. "Someone has to get close enough to scan them before the attack." Captain Rivera stepped forward. "I'll take the reconnaissance mission, Admiral." Sarah shook her head. "No, Marcus. I need you here. Lieutenant Commander Torres will lead the scout squadron." As the countdown entered its final hours, Sarah found herself walking through the corridors of New Geneva, Earth's capital. The streets should have been filled with panic, but instead, she saw determination. Street musicians played defiant songs. Restaurants served free meals to defense workers. Children drew pictures of spaceships fighting among the stars. An elderly man approached her, recognizing her uniform. "Admiral, my grandson is up there with the fleet. I wanted you to know, we're proud of what you're all doing." "He's defending his home, sir. We all are." "No," the man smiled sadly. "You're defending something more than that. You're defending the idea that freedom is worth fighting for, that some things can't be taken by force." When Sarah returned to the command center, the alien fleet had entered the outer solar system. Their formation was perfect, disciplined, overwhelming. Each ship bristled with weapons that could glass continents. "All stations report ready, Admiral," Captain Rivera announced. Sarah opened a channel to the entire fleet. "This is Admiral Chen to all Earth Defense Force vessels. Today, we face an enemy that sees us as nothing more than obstacles to their expansion. They believe our peaceful nature makes us weak. They're about to learn why humanity has survived ice ages, plagues, and wars. We fight not for conquest, but for survival. We fight not for glory, but for the right to exist. Show them what happens when you threaten our home." The first engagement occurred near Jupiter. Lieutenant Commander Torres led her squadron of stealth ships directly into the alien formation. The Zephyrian response was immediate and brutal. Energy beams lanced through space, vaporizing two ships instantly. But Torres accomplished her mission. Her ship's sensors captured the quantum signature of the alien shields just before a plasma torpedo ended her life. The data transmitted back to Earth in her final moments. "We have it," Dr. Park announced. "Recalibrating all weapons now." What followed defied every military simulation ever run. Earth's ships, individually outmatched and outnumbered, began moving in patterns no traditional military would attempt. They used Jupiter's gravity well to slingshot around the gas giant, approaching the alien fleet from unexpected angles. They deployed asteroid mining charges as improvised mines, creating deadly fields of debris. The Zephyrians, accustomed to straightforward battles against species that fought conventionally, found themselves confused and disoriented. Their massive ships, built for overwhelming firepower, struggled to track the smaller, faster human vessels. General Vex, the Zephyrian military strategist, stared at his tactical display in growing alarm. "These humans fight like no species we've encountered. Their tactics are chaotic." Warlord Thys snarled, his crystalline features darkening. "Chaos is the refuge of the weak. Adapt our formation. Deploy energy nets. Trap them." But as the Zephyrians adapted, so did the humans. Sarah watched from the command center as her captains improvised in real time. Captain Kim used a damaged freighter as a decoy, loading it with quantum resonance torpedoes and ramming it into a Zephyrian dreadnought. The cascade failure took out 6 enemy ships. Commander Petrov discovered that the aliens' energy shields couldn't adapt to rapid frequency changes. He programmed his weapons to cycle through thousands of variations per second, creating gaps that conventional projectiles could exploit. The battle raged for 18 hours. Earth's forces lost over 100 ships, but the Zephyrians lost 3 times as many. More importantly, their perfect formation was shattered, their command structure disrupted. Sarah received reports from across the battle zone. Human ships, damaged and running low on ammunition, continued fighting with whatever they had. The merchant vessel Free Trader had converted its cargo bay into a missile launcher. The research ship Curiosity was using its sensor array to jam alien communications. As the first day of battle ended, both fleets pulled back to regroup. Sarah stared at the casualty reports, each name representing someone's child, parent, or friend. But Earth had held. Against impossible odds, they had held. That night, as she tried to catch a few hours of sleep, Sarah's communicator chimed. It was her daughter on Luna. "Mom, I wanted you to know. Everyone here is volunteering. We're converting the university into a field hospital, and the engineering students are building defensive drones. We're with you." Sarah smiled through her tears. "I know, sweetheart. That's why we fight." The second day would bring even greater challenges, but somehow, humanity had found a way to bloody the nose of an empire that had conquered 1,000 worlds. The Zephyrians had expected easy prey. Instead, they found themselves in a fight for their lives against a species that refused to acknowledge when they were beaten. The Great Retreat. Warlord This stood before his war council, his crystalline features reflecting the emergency lighting that bathed the command chamber in harsh red. Around the circular table, his most trusted generals and admirals bore expressions of disbelief and growing fear. "Explain to me," This said, his voice carrying the deadly calm that preceded executions, "how we have lost 2,000 ships to these primitives." General Vex cleared his throat nervously. "Warlord, our intelligence was incomplete. These humans don't fight like any species in our database. They use their own ships as weapons, they turn their environment into traps, and they adapt faster than our tactical computers can compensate." Admiral Kresh, commander of the 3rd Battle Group, leaned forward. "Sir, respectfully, perhaps we should consider." "Consider what?" This's voice cut through the air like a blade. "Retreat from mud-dwelling savages. The Empire has conquered civilizations that spanned star systems. We will not be defeated by these. These? Humans," General Vex finished quietly. Back on Earth, Admiral Sarah Chen was dealing with her own impossible situation. The quantum resonance torpedoes had worked beyond their wildest dreams, but ammunition was running critically low. More than half her fleet was damaged, and the shipyards couldn't produce replacements fast enough. Dr. Park entered the command center, his face lit with exhausted excitement. "Admiral, we've been analyzing the wreckage from the Zephyrian ships. Their technology is incredible, but it has a flaw." "What kind of flaw?" Sarah asked, looking up from casualty reports. "They're over-specialized. Every system is designed for maximum efficiency in ideal conditions, but when those conditions change..." Dr. Park pulled up a holographic display showing alien ship schematics. "Their power distribution network can't adapt to damage. If we can cause cascading failures in their secondary systems..." Captain Rivera joined them. "What are you suggesting, Doctor?" "Cyber warfare. Their ships are connected through quantum networks. If we can introduce chaos into their systems..." Sarah considered this. Earth's computer technology was different from the Zephyrians, focused on adaptability rather than raw power. "How long would you need?" 6 hours to modify our infiltration programs, but we'd need someone to get close enough to establish a connection." "I'll do it," Captain Rivera volunteered immediately. Sarah shook her head. "No, Marcus. We'll need volunteers. This is essentially a suicide mission." Within an hour, over 300 captains had volunteered for what became known as the Ghost Protocol. The plan was simple in concept, terrifying in execution. Small ships would approach under cloaking, attached to Zephyrian vessels, and upload the virus before being inevitably destroyed. As Earth's forces prepared for what might be their final gambit, something unexpected happened throughout human space. The colonies on Mars sent every ship they could spare. Luna Base converted its entire industrial complex to weapons production. The asteroid mining stations began launching rocks at incredible velocities toward the alien fleet. Even more surprising was what happened on Earth itself. In a global effort unprecedented in human history, every major city contributed to the war effort. Tokyo's tech companies created jamming devices. Sao Paulo's manufacturers produced armor plating. Lagos sent food and medical supplies. Stockholm provided shelter technology for refugees. Sarah received a transmission from the president of Earth's unified government. The elderly woman's face was drawn with exhaustion, but her eyes burned with determination. "Admiral, I have 9 heads of state from our former nations holding emergency sessions. They've agreed to temporarily restore military command structures from before unification. This means we can coordinate defensive efforts using the old command protocols." "Ma'am, that's brilliant. Different command structures means unpredictable tactics. The French are deploying their ships like it's World War II. The Brazilians are using asymmetric warfare tactics. The Japanese are coordinating with mathematical precision, while the Australians are, well, they're doing whatever they want. And somehow it's working." The Ghost Protocol launched at dawn on the 3rd day. 200 small craft, each crewed by volunteers who knew they weren't coming home, approached the alien fleet. Sarah watched from the command center as the first wave made contact. Lieutenant Chen, no relation to the Admiral, transmitted from the Deep Scout, Horizon's Edge, as it attached to a Zephyrian battlecruiser. "Package delivered. Virus uploading now. Tell my family." The transmission cut off as the ship was vaporized by point defense systems, but the damage was done. Across the alien fleet, ships began experiencing system failures. Navigation computers crashed. Weapons powered down. Life support fluctuated. Warlord This watched in horror as his perfect fleet descended into chaos. "What is happening to our ships?" "Unknown malware, sir," General Vex reported, his voice shaking. "It's rewriting our command protocols. The virus seems to be learning from our countermeasures and adapting faster than we can respond." "How is that possible?" Dr. Angela Foster, Earth's leading expert in adaptive AI, had designed the virus with one simple principle: controlled chaos. Instead of trying to destroy the alien systems, it introduced random variables that forced their over-specialized computers to allocate increasing resources to error correction, eventually leading to cascading failures. The effect was devastating. Zephyrian ships lost coordination, drifted into each other, and became sitting targets for the remaining Earth forces. Admiral Sarah Chen seized the moment. "All units, this is command. Execute Operation Humanity. Attack pattern Delta 7. Show them what happens when you threaten our species." What followed was unlike any battle in recorded history. Human ships, many held together by emergency wells and powered by backup systems, launched a coordinated assault on the crippled alien fleet. The merchant vessel Spirit of Luna rammed its way through an alien destroyer's shields. The research ship Carl Sagan used its scientific instruments to overload enemy sensors before launching every torpedo it carried. Captain Maria Santos of the cruiser New Horizons found herself face-to-face with Warlord This's command ship. Her vessel was barely functional, her crew reduced to 12 people, but her weapons were still operational. "This is Captain Santos to alien command ship. Surrender now, or we finish this." This's response came immediately. "You dare demand our surrender? We are the Zephyrian Empire. And we are humanity. The difference is, we're still here." The final battle lasted 4 hours. When it ended, the 1,000-ship Zephyrian Armada had been reduced to 17 heavily damaged vessels fleeing toward the edge of the solar system. Earth's defense fleet was down to 86 ships, but they were victorious. Admiral Sarah Chen stood in the observation deck of the command station, watching the alien ships disappear into hyperspace. Captain Rivera joined her, his left arm in a sling from when his ship had been hit by debris. "Think they'll be back?" he asked. Sarah was quiet for a long moment. "I think they'll tell everyone they meet about what happened here. About the species that was supposed to be easy prey, but instead became their worst nightmare." "And what will they say?" Sarah smiled grimly. "They'll say that humanity can't be conquered because we're too stubborn to know when we're beaten. They'll say that we turn everything into a weapon, including ourselves. And they'll say that any empire foolish enough to threaten Earth should expect to lose not just a fleet, but their certainty that the universe makes sense." Years later, intercepted alien communications would confirm Sarah's prediction. The Zephyrian Empire had added humanity to a very short list of species to be avoided at all costs. The 17 surviving ships returned home with tales so unbelievable that they were initially dismissed as trauma-induced hallucinations. But eventually, the truth spread throughout the galaxy. There was a system called Sol, orbiting an unremarkable yellow star, where a species called humanity had done the impossible. They had taken the most powerful invasion fleet ever assembled and sent it running with its tail between its legs. The Battle of Sol became legend among 1,000 species, not the legend of overwhelming power or technological superiority, but the legend of a species that refused to give up, that turned their unity into strength and their desperation into determination. And in the deepest archives of the Zephyrian Empire, locked away where only the highest-ranking officials could access it, was Warlord Thiss's final report. It contained just one recommendation for any future encounters with humanity. Don't. The 17 ships that survived would spend the rest of their existence as a reminder that sometimes the greatest military advantages mean nothing in the face of a species that simply refuses to quit. Earth had survived not